morning, or depending when you're watching this, good afternoon, good evening, or good night. My name's Ross, and as always told out of Oyster Radio. So today, we need to take a little bit of a look at a brand new Ferrothorn card, because I think this is one that could actually be kind of interesting. I kind of like this one. Now, of course, our translation does come from the lovely Antoine Boulet. No, it actually comes from lovely Joe over at Cerebi.net. Although, to be clear, Antoine has provided us with so many awesome translations, I think giving him a little bit of extra love and a little bit of extra thanks is, shall we say, no more than is absolutely thoroughly deserved. But the translation did actually come from Joe over at Cerebi.net. And if we start off having a little bit of a look at the basics here, we got 110 HP, which frankly is lower than we would usually like on a stage 1 Pokemon, so that's kind of sad. And incidentally is lower than the last couple of Ferrothorn, so boo, hiss, etc. There are actually 3 legal Ferrothorn when this comes out. This is the lowest HP of all of them, which might signal it's the best. Pokemon do tend to do that. They'll lower the HP if they think the card is good. But yeah, it's not great in terms of HP. Retreat cost of 3 is the worst retreat cost in the game. Air Balloon won't quite give you free retreat, and Buff Padding won't give you extra HP, so boo. And you've got a weakness to fire, which is all of those welded X, which is really sad. Although Volcanion, if there's only 2 or 3 energy on the field, will do 50 doubled to 100. So you do at least survive a KO from that. So that's alright. And you do have a resistance to grass, so if things like Rillaboom do end up becoming good in the near future, at least you're covered against that. So yay! But I'll be honest with you here, it's all about the attack. And there is only one attack. There is a single attack here, but this attack is one that is absolutely worth having a play around with. 1 Metal Energy. This attack does 30 damage for each Metal Energy attached to this Pokemon. Switch this Pokemon with one of your benched Pokemon. So what we've got here is 2 possible options. We've either got a hit and run Pokemon and potentially a phenomenally powerful hit and run Pokemon, or we've got a late game sweeper. Now, in terms of hit and run Pokemon, there is actually a lot to like here, because let's face it, right? In terms of hit and run Pokemon, as a general rule, we don't get to do very much damage at all. I mean, if we have a look at some of the other hit and run Pokemon we've got at the moment, I mean, well, Hitmonchan is one of the ones that's probably seen the most play so far. I like Hitmonchan. Hitmonchan is good. But the fact of the matter is, Hitmonchan does a natural 30 damage, which is not particularly good. That's not a lot of damage. Now, you can always play Vitality Band to put it up by 10. You can play Martial Arts Dojo to put it up by 10. And that does actually end up becoming up by 40 if you're behind on prizes. So if you're behind on prizes and you've got a Vitality Band and a Martial Arts Dojo, you will hit and run for 80. That's free energy on a Ferrothorn. That's not particularly good. We've got the Manectric that came out in Darkness Ablaze. Does 30 damage and switches to the bench. That's not ideal. Golisopod from Darkness Ablaze does 70 and switches to the bench, but then again, that is for a grass double colourless, and if you've got free energy on, you're going to be doing 90, so we don't like that very much at all. Bronzong, weirdly, also for free energy does 70, though your opponent will also switch there. The Masquerain does 40 and switches, which is cool, I suppose, although you will need to probably use a twin energy to actually make that work. You see where I'm going with this? We just don't do very much damage, like, at all here. I mean, weirdly enough, probably the best one we've got in terms of energy to damage ratio at the moment is, well, there's a Sawsbuck, does 60 for 2 energy and switches to the bench. Although that does have the ability to let you draw a card. And maybe the Archeops from Unified Minds, 40 for a single energy. And I do like the 40 for a single energy, but I also don't like that you're only doing 40 damage. 40 damage ends up not being very much. So my point here is that we don't have a huge amount of good hit and run Pokemon around at the moment. We really, really don't. this has the potential to just flat out be better than the ones we've got. And yeah, you might have to put an extra energy or two on there, but 3 energy hitting 90 and switching to the bench, 4 energy hitting 120 and switching to the bench. We don't see this on other Pokemon. We don't have other Pokemon around at the moment that can do this. So that's kind of ridiculous. And you can go nuts here. But we'll get to the going nuts in a minute. In terms of being a hit and run Pokemon, you need something to put active after you hit and run. Don't forget that the Galarian Casola's quite nice. If your opponent KOs, you get to flip a coin, and if heads, they get KO'd as well. So, or Cursola, I suppose it actually is. And essentially they do all the work, but you might get a KO as well, and you give up 1 prize. They may well end up giving up more than 1. And then we got Lily's Pokédoll, which goes in the active, but doesn't give up a prize when it is KO'd. So that's quite nice. We've got ways of running around this. I mean, one combo I really like here is Cursed Shovel with Lily's Pokédoll. Cursed Shovel, if it's attached to a Pokemon that is knocked out by damage from an attack, you discard the top 2 card of your opponent's deck. And when Lily's Pokédoll is in play, you treat it like a 30 HP basic Pokemon. So if you leave it in the active, you can actually make them mill a couple of cards from their own deck while they take it down. That's kind of hilarious. So we've got all the ingredients for a hit and run deck, and this can end up doing more damage than the alternatives than the other Pokemon we're looking at here. But we are generally looking at piling energy on. And the issue is we got too much gusting at the moment. There are some people that are playing Pokemon Catcher, which will gust on a coin flip, but everyone's playing Boss's Orders, and honestly, since the rotation hit, we've generally seen people go from 2 or 3 copies of Boss's Orders up to 3 or 4 copies of Boss's Orders. And what that basically means is that it is far more likely that your opponent is going to be able to gust you into the active. And if you're putting all your energy onto one Ferrothorn to use as a hit and run Pokemon, and then your opponent gusts and KOs it, that's a problem. But what about using it as a sweeper? What about piling energy on and smashing to win the game? I mean, we do it with Heatran GX. Heatran GX has a GX attack that does 50 damage for each energy attached to it, but we're talking your once per game GX attack, so maybe this could work as a 30 times when it's not. Now, it is worth pointing out that Heatran does actually have a really nice ability, whereby when you put it into the active, you can move as much fire energy from your other Pokemon to it as you like. So, clearly here, Heatran has the advantage in terms of being able to just move the energy over and then smash. And 50 times is better, but it's your once per game GX attack on a 2-prize Pokemon. The question is, how are we going to pile energy on? Well, we no longer have Magnezone. Magnezone would let us attach as much metal energy as we like during our turn, but we no longer have it, so, get over it. But we do have Metal Saucer. And you can play 4 of them, and each of them can attach a metal energy from your discard to one of your bench metal Pokemon. We got Turbo Patch that attaches any energy from the discard on a coin flip, any basic energy. Although here would blatantly be doing metal, but do remember that's only on a basic, so you can use that with Ferrothorn, but you need to make sure you do it when it's Ferroseed, not after you've evolved up to Ferrothorn, at which point you won't be able to do so. That is important. We can use, stuff like Zacian's got their ability that draws 3 cards and any metal energy attaches to Zacian. So there's no reason here you couldn't use that along with a couple of energy switch to play around in that regard. That could be fun. And we've got ways of getting the energy on. And of course we got stuff like that Duraludon that will attach an energy. Although again, you're attaching an energy as your attack for the turn. So your opponent can then gust and KO. That is actually going to be replaced soon by a Dialga that can accelerate 2 energy, but again, you're accelerating to the bench, and then your opponent can just Boss's Orders and KO, and that will be sad. I do think there is potential here, but what are we going to do? 4 Turbo Patch, 4 Metal Saucer, couple of energy switch onto 110 HP Ferrothorn? What we need is a way to move all the energy over right now and then smash. And that's what Heatran has built in with its ability. And I'm not sure Ferrothorn does. And unless you've got some kind of redonkulous god hand that lets you get 7 energy on in one go, I'm not sure how often it's gonna really work. And that's a little bit sad. Plus, let's say you want to take out something like an Eternatus. Something like a Heatran can come around and go, right, well, it's 7 fire energy, but I can do that. Especially you having played Welder for a few turns, there are 7 fire energy on the field. I can go all in for a giant KO. Ferrothorn, you need 12 energy. 11 energy will be 330, you'd be 10 short. So you need 12 energy and you need to get them all on, and you're literally talking 4 energy switch, 4 metal saucer, and 4 turbo patch heads in one turn. Doable, genuinely doable. But when I say doable, I don't mean likely or probable. I mean you can hit 4 heads and have all 12 of those cards in hand while there are 4 energy on the field. That will happen occasionally. If you play enough games, you'll pull it off. But the fact of the matter is, I don't think it's easy enough to get rolling as a sweeper. And I do really like it as a hit and run Pokemon. But I worry that with so much gusting around at the moment, this becomes really good when you got 3, 4, 5 energy on. And by the time you get 3, 4, 5 energy on, your opponent is just going to gust and KO. Let's go ahead and give it 3 Wassies, an ordinary everyday run-of-the-mill garden variety score. I do like it, and I do think both uses for this attack could end up being quite good, but I do think there are significant barriers to actually getting either of them to work as well as you might like. But I would like to know what you think, so let me know in the comment section, would ya? Go nuts! Be nice! And then make sure you like this video, subscribe to this channel, follow me on Twitter at TheWassie, and Twitch for some live action at twitch.tv/PTCG Radio. If you want to support the channel, get some bonus podcasts and all that good stuff, head on over to patreon.com/PTCG Radio, where you can do exactly that. But by far the most important thing as always, look after yourselves till next time, would ya? Thank you very much for watching. My name's Ross, and you've been watching PTCG Radio.